Okay, so this element that I'm going to cover now is the main thing that I see a lot of prison consultants talking about online. And it's really what kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, because it sounds like these guys are promising that if you do this, or you hire them to help you do this, you're going to get a time cut. You're going to get less time than you would otherwise. And I just feel like they're not being honest when they do this, when they say this. And before I go any further, I want to emphasize again that I am not an attorney, and I'm not trying to give you any kind of legal advice. And after watching this video, if you feel like this is something you want to do, I really think that you need to go and discuss it with your attorney, because it's going to be on a case-by-case basis whether this is something that could help you or harm you, and I'll explain why in a second. But basically what this is trying to shape a narrative as sentencing. When you go before the judge is going to have your pre-sentence report. That's the result of your pre-sentence investigation, and he might even have more information in his head because you went to trial. And so everything that this judge has heard about you has been completely negative. You're being shown in the worst light at the worst moment of your life, and it's all been framed by the U.S. Attorney, by the Federal Probation Office. And this moment, right when you come to get sentenced, is your one opportunity to give the judge your side of the story. So I think that in certain situations it could be very valuable. But I think it's very dishonest, these guys that are with these consulting companies that are promising that if you do this, and they're just giving this supposed anecdotal evidence that these guys are getting months shaved off their sentence. I mean, first off, how do they know really, what the judge was going to do before, this happened or not? And there's a lot of factors that go into this. And let me give you some anecdotal advice, just from my own personal experience, why that sometimes it's not a good idea. When I went to be sentenced for my marijuana conspiracy and 924C gun charge conviction, I still had a first-degree murder charge pending against me in the state of North Carolina. So it was all in what I'd been convicted of in federal court was the same crime that I was going to be tried in state court. They just called it different stuff, and it's just this is the way they get around double jeopardy. And it's just, if you're in the criminal justice system now, you can see how they do that. But when the judge asked me if I wanted to say anything before my sentencing, anything that I said, if I told him how I felt, the remorse that I felt, I didn't kill the guy that died in our case, but I felt tremendous regret, remorse, guilt for the pain that I'd caused his family, my family. Just embarrassed for letting myself get into such a horrible situation. But if I'd said all that in court before my sentencing, I would have incriminated myself for the state case. So it would from a legal perspective, it was something I couldn't do. And my lawyer even mentioned this, but it still felt really cold to be in there, just standing there mute when, the victim's family's in there and the other victims in our case, and just standing there and just looking cold, like I felt indifferent to the whole thing, like I wasn't owning any of the pain that I'd caused. And so it bothered me not to be able to speak, but from that perspective, it was not a good idea legally to do something like that. It would have been like making a confession that they could have used in the state trial. So if you have pending charges in the state related to whatever your federal charges are, you'd be in the same boat. You wouldn't want to do something like that. And there are other scenarios that would make this a bad idea. And one thing that I would, consider is that your lawyer probably knows the judge that you're before. Your lawyer's probably dealt with that person more than once and might be able to give you some valuable insight about whether a judge would be moved by something like that, or whether the judge would doubt your sincerity and maybe hold it against you. And there's other factors that, I'm not a lawyer, there's other factors that might make it a bad idea. So this is absolutely something that you need to discuss with your lawyer. So if you find yourself in a situation where you and your lawyer both agree that it's a good idea to demonstrate, how you feel about what you did and how you want to move forward, then, you could write a letter to the judge. You can film a short video and send that to the judge and just explain, that you realize the harm you've caused and how you want to move forward from it. If drugs or alcohol was involved in it, you could discuss that. And if you're on pretrial release, this would be a good time to get permission to go to NA, AA, or rehab and start working on fixing things. If you have a financial crime and you have some means of getting some of that money together to start working off what you owe, this would be a good time for that, to do that, to demonstrate not only that you recognize what you did wrong, but show that you want to move forward by the proper reset, trying to do something positive with your life, try to right some of the wrong that you did, and but even then, there's no guarantee that judge is going to be moved by that and give you any less time for it. I guarantee that this plan is a whole lot better than going in and having an attitude and, cussing or doing anything like that, being disrespectful or, just mean mugging the judge. This is definitely a better plan. But, a lot of it is going to have to do with the judge that you have and the area of the country you're in. There's some liberal judges that, are looking for any excuse to not give out as much time. And there's conservative ones that are, going to break you off no matter what. So that's something to take in consideration. And, I'm based in North Carolina. A lot of my clients are from North Carolina. And I've got to be honest that like most of the judges in North Carolina, I just don't see being moved too much by any of this stuff. It doesn't mean that I don't think you should do it. I think you should take, be an advocate for yourself in any way, shape, or form. But you also got to be realistic and